When I was little, I used to really dislike my cousin's laziness. So like, instead of getting up to get something herself, she would always ask someone nearer to the thing that she wanted to get it for her. And like, I never mentioned at the time because she was older than me, so she had superiority. And like, she never demanded, she always asked, she was very polite about it, but like, it still really bugged me. Flash forward about 10 years and I have become my cousin. When I say that laziness is my worst quality, I mean it in a deeper way than that I sometimes like don't bother to do the washing up. I mean that like I sometimes take advantage of Aiden by asking him to do things for me that I'm perfectly capable of doing but just don't want to do at the moment, and I don't really offer anything in return. We're both quite lazy people, which is probably one of the reasons why we're not very social, just because we can't be asked to go out and do anything. We're just perfectly happy just staying in and being lazy. But his laziness like manifests as a more physical sense, like a lethargy. His laziness is visibly obvious, like when it's his turn to do the washing up, he will leave it, you know, until he absolutely has to do it, and he will like, you know, not bother to clean up after himself, that sort of thing. So because it's more physically obvious, I sort of trick myself into believing that my brand of laziness doesn't matter as much in a way. This is particularly obvious when it comes to phone calls. I've had practice making phone calls before. Now I'm perfectly capable of doing it. Like, the very low level of anxiety I feel is completely surmountable. It's not an issue, but I still whine and badger Aiden to do almost every phone call for anything like household related, anything like that. I always try and make him do the phone calls just because I'm too lazy to deal with the slight discomfort I feel doing it. And it does annoy him, and it annoys me as well when I think about it, because like, get over it, Emma. It's a phone call, just do it. You know you can do it. You've done it before. It was scary the first few times. You can do it now. When I'm unemployed, it stretches out much longer than it necessarily needs to because I have money saved up. So things like rent and household bills aren't an issue until, you know, it won't be an issue. Like, the amount of money that I have now is less than I'm comfortable with, but it's still like, I know that I can still contribute to household bills and stuff, so I don't like apply for jobs or push myself as hard as I should, and I let my unemployment stretch out for much longer than it needs to because I'm lazy. Anything that puts me even slightly out of my comfort zone is something that I will try to avoid. But like, relying on Aiden to do anything even slightly uncomfortable that I would find, like the phone calls, is just no way to live your life, and it's no way to live, especially if you're in a relationship with someone. So like, a really good example of this is when I was in sixth form, my best friend Kerry got a car and, you know, started to drive places, and she took me home a couple of times. Neither of us lived in the same town as our sixth form, so like, it was going out of her way to take me home, but she was my friend, so she did it for me and it wasn't an issue. Until I started like expecting her to do it. I would finish my classes at lunchtime or whatever, and I would bug her to drive me home because it would have taken longer to get a bus, or I would have just had to stay in school until the school bus took me home at the end of the day. And I started to like harass her about it. And it was one of the only times we've actually properly argued, because eventually, of course, she snapped and said, you know, you're being completely unreasonable. And once she did that, I was like, shit, you're right, I'm so sorry. It's hard to recognize when I'm being like that, you know? It's hard to recognize your own bad habits from inside your own head. So what are your worst qualities? Do you also do the thing where you recognize that you're doing something wrong, or that you're being annoying or unreasonable, but like a part of you is just too lazy to change? Because that's kind of what I'm trying to combat. That kind of just, oh, does it even matter sort of attitude, which is, yeah, it's just no way to live. And it's especially if you're living with someone and you have to cooperate. That was my piece today, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Today's song of the day is O Come Emmanuel by Branches, like the cover by Branches, because it's just honestly one of my favourite Christmas songs. I could listen to it all year round, and occasionally I do listen to it out of the Christmas season, which is sort of embarrassing, but it's such a beautiful song that I honestly don't care. Kitty was really excited when we got home today because Aiden and I had been out shopping for most of the day, so she just immediately started playing, and it was really, really cute. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye!